Let me tell you something unusual about silence in the digital age. We live in a world where nearly everything is shared. Birthdays, coffee cups, sunsets, tears, laughter, even pain polished with filters. And yet some people remain completely invisible. They scroll quietly, observe deeply, and rarely, if ever, post. You might know someone like that. Maybe you are someone like that. And the question lingers, why? Why would someone choose to stay unseen in a world that seems to shout for attention? It's easy to assume that those who don't post are simply shy or introverted. But the truth is far more complex. Beneath the surface lies a rich psychology, one that speaks to human nature, self-perception, and a subtle rebellion against a culture obsessed with visibility. For some, silence is not emptiness, it is control. It is the power to choose what the world does not get to know. Social media rewards noise, praise, and attention, yet those who stay in the shadows often see everything most clearly. They watch without needing to interrupt, think before reacting, analyze before judging. Psychologists have found that people who refrain from posting often score high on traits like self-restraint, introspection, and emotional independence. They are less influenced by social comparison or external validation. They aren't trying to prove who they are. They're trying to understand it. In a world drowning in performances, that is rare. Most of what we post isn't just communication, it's identity crafting. Every caption, photo, or status update whispers, "This is who I am. Do you approve?" When you stop posting, something shifts. You detach your worth from digital applause. You stop thinking in captions and start experiencing moments for yourself. This is the secret psychology of many people who don't post. They crave authenticity in a space that often feels staged. They are not anti-technology or anti-social. They are simply refusing to reduce life into highlights. The act of posting subtly diminishes what psychologists call psychological ownership. The feeling that a thought, memory, or experience belongs deeply to you. When shared online, that ownership fades, leaving moments open to judgment, misinterpretation, and ridicule. Non-posters guard their experiences, keeping them private, sacred, and untouchable. For some, the decision not to post emerges from emotional burnout. They may have once shared everything, only to realize that sharing created pressure rather than joy. They weren't living, they were performing. So they quit quietly. No announcements, just a gradual disappearance from the feed. Not posting does not mean not feeling. It often means caring too much. About presence, about meaning, about protecting what is precious. Silence becomes a kind of freedom, a reclaiming of life lived for oneself. Cooking without photographing it, traveling without tagging it, feeling without explaining. It awakens a self-awareness that does not need an audience. Yet silence is not always peace. Fear of judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding can also drive withdrawal. Social media amplifies self-presentational pressure, the constant awareness of being watched. Some retreat, not because they don't want to connect, but because the cost of visibility is too high. They want to be seen, but only truly, not superficially. Ironically, the quietest people online often have the loudest thoughts. They are not absent, they are overflowing, but they choose stillness over spectacle. In a world that constantly says, "Look at me," invisibility becomes a form of self-definition. Some of life's most profound experiences, growth, grief, transformation, happen quietly, unseen, unposted. Being unseen is not insignificance. It is where identity is formed, not performed. Social media promises connection, but often leaves people feeling isolated. By choosing not to post, non-posters rebuild real connections. They notice who checks in without updates, who remembers without reminders. These raw, unbroadcasted connections feel heavier, warmer, and infinitely more real. Non-posters also develop identity security, knowing who they are even when nobody is watching. This is not arrogance, it is peace. They often have the most compelling stories, but save them for conversation across a table, not across a screen. Real connection is measured in shared silence, in eyes meeting, in laughter that requires no witnesses. Stepping away from posting helps rediscover life's simplicity. Colors look richer, time feels slower, conversations feel fuller. Without the need to perform, people start living inside the moment instead of outside it. Resisting the dopamine loops of social media requires discipline and self-awareness, yet it rewards with emotional stability and life satisfaction. Still, silence is not always serene. Some withdraw from posting due to exhaustion, emotional fatigue, or the subtle anxiety of comparing themselves to everyone else's highlight reels. But stepping back is an act of self-preservation, not bitterness. They realize they owe no performance to the world, no explanation for their silence, no constant proof of happiness. Real meaning does not require visibility. Some of the most shaping moments, heartbreaks, growth, private victories, quiet kindness, exist in memory, not media. Authentic self-expression is not about broadcasting emotions for approval, but aligning inner and outer selves. In the age of filters, that alignment is fragile, yet choosing silence helps preserve it. Those who live quietly experience life most intensely. They notice details others miss. The way light falls, a pause in conversation, distant laughter. Presence becomes their currency in a world built on attention. Misunderstood by some as detachment or coldness, their silence is actually depth, a calm that comes from no longer needing to explain oneself. Confidence lies not in being known by everyone, but in being understood by a few. Privacy is intimacy. When thoughts and experiences remain unshared, self-reflection and connection with one's inner world flourish. Silence is a homecoming, not withdrawal. Growth, grief, victories, and acts of kindness often happen unseen, and that is enough. Choosing not to post is also a subtle rebellion against social media's reward system. It frees people from dopamine-driven validation cycles, allowing them to experience life fully for themselves. It is a reclaiming of authenticity, presence, and simplicity. In the end, silence does not mean invisibility or emptiness. Non-posters remind us that life is not meant to be a performance. Being unseen does not mean being insignificant. Some of the most meaningful experiences are private, and that privacy can be profoundly human. They live fully, deeply, and quietly, and in doing so they show us that sometimes the truest expression of who you are is silence.